The Guardians, a story by Lora O'Brien. Mythological cycle. They met in the middle. In the glen, by the smoke of a wet wood fire, they came together. Under the dark of their moon, the stars of their sky stretching over, they met in the middle. From Phalius came Mórrígan, dark and cold as the earth stone, bringing the depth of knowledge and understanding. In her pocket she carried the wisdom of the ages, and in the middle she placed the Leafall, stone of sovereignty. From Gorius came Esras, hot and bright as the fever's burn, walking with dutiful care and attention. In her pocket she carried the fire of eventual comfort, and in the middle she placed the sword of the king, unconquerable once blooded. From Phineas came Ushkias, fluid and fresh as the rivers passing, flowing across the land with purpose and patience. In her pocket she carried the fast flow of justice, and in the middle she placed the spear of light, piercing with victory. From Mórrígan came Semius, stout and guarded as the sea fortress, moving carefully and deliberately to where she was needed. In her pocket she carried the rivet that held all together, and in the middle she placed the cauldron of the chief, giving of plenty to all. Guardians gathered, gifts given, they met in the middle. Esras spoke first, of the sickness which plagued the people, with scorching intensity of the blistering seeping infections, the fervid fear stalking her once warm city, and of their loving duty to act in the interests of the tribe, Tua. The difficult decision was called for, a slashing burn to destroy, followed by the new growth, guided and fed from the cleansed and cared for remains of the old. Ushkias spoke next, of the turgid waters swollen with death and disease, with a well of sadness of the pale, poisoned beauty of once fair streams, and of the wisdom needed to act in the interests of the tribe, the Tua. The difficult decision was called for, a shaft of fatty lard to clog and grease the life-giving waters beyond sustenance, followed by the inevitable flood of departure. Semius spoke then, of the storm lashing and breaking of ramparts, with rot and decay untended and unwatched in the once walled fortresses, and of the doughty necessity to act in the interests of the tribe, the Tua. The difficult decision was called for, an emptying of the land and salting the earth, gathering and rationing hitherto plentiful provisions in preparation for the journey ahead. And then spoke Mórrígan, of the scattering of learning, with shallow thinking and easy speech too common, insincerity and dishonesty veining her once honourable foundations, and of the sovereign knowledge needed to regroup and bed down in the interests of the tribe, the Tua. The difficult decision was called for, releasing the sovereign stones which held safety in this land, and seeking to refortify in another, to find and build boundaries in a new space for depth of study and rightful rule. They met in the middle, and so the decision was made. And the best of their tribe, their tua, was gathered under Danu, the mother. In the 4 cities, Gorius, Phineas, Murius, Folius, they acquired knowledge and science and magic with which to mark the way. From Gorius they bought the sword of Nua, and no man would escape from it by reason of its venom. And when it was drawn from its battle scabbard, there was no resisting it. From Phineas was brought the spear which Lu had. Battle would never go against him who had it in hand. From Murius was bought the cauldron of the Dagda, and no company would go from it unsatisfied. And then from Folius was brought the Leafal, the sovereign stone ever watched for by the great queen, Mórrígan. And it would not utter a cry but under every king or queen that should take Ireland. From it the new land would be named, the fortified island that is Inishfal. The 4 sages in those cities, Esdras, Ushkias, Samius, and Moressa. These were the 4 poets, the guardians and guides, with whom the Tuatha Dé Danann acquired wisdom and knowledge. For this was said, and carried, and written, and told. But when the tribe arrived to Inishfal, the 4 great guardians remained. Under the dark of their moon, the stars of their sky stretching over, they watched the ships of the tribe, the Tua, leave their land. That was the last of their stories that would be told. And they knew it. And they stayed. Now, that's not the last tales we'll hear of the tribe of Danu, though, the Tuatha Dé Danann. But they're all stories for another day. So that story came from Tales of Old Ireland Retold, Ancient Irish Stories Retold for Today by myself, Lora O'Brien, and it's published by Elon Otter Press, and you can find it online if you want to read the whole book. And thank you for your patience. I'm going to be reading these stories regularly for my patrons first, and then later on they'll probably be released at some point, a couple of months later, to YouTube and social media. Okay, so if you want to get the readings first and foremost, you can get them on patreon.com/Lora O'Brien. Okay, slán go fóill, and I'll see you in the next video.